1 second, sorry. Namaskar, dear seekers, and welcome to our live stream. So today will be about question answers. So any questions you have about spirituality, spiritual practice, or any doubts or misconcept that you may feel you have, or some question that is not answered to you and remains why and how. So this is actually today you can ask your questions on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. We have seekers that will be moderating, will be collect all your questions, and then we'll try to answer them as much as possible. I think we are able to, most of the time we try to answer all your questions. And I think few of you will also come and ask your question live. So we are actually on Zoom, and we'll be inviting some guests who will be coming and ask some questions. So don't hesitate, even now, to paste any questions you have already in the comment chat so that we have time to collect your questions. So before we start, I would like to introduce myself in short. My name is Syriac, and I come from France, and I'm doing spiritual practice for more than 20 years. I live also in India for more than 10 years in an ashram, and presently I'm residing in Germany. I've been touring also in Europe, so in a way to spread spirituality, and we have with different seekers, we are also spreading spirituality in USA or in Europe presently. About SSRF, SSRF is the acronym of the Spiritual Science Research Foundation, and it was founded in 2006 with the blessing of His Holiness Dr. Jayant Balaji Attavuli, that is a sense of higher order from India. And all the research or knowledge is published free of charge on our website. We have more than 700 articles on different topics about spirituality. We have spiritual concept, spiritual healing, we have spiritual research. So all that is published about spiritual practice, how to grow spiritually. And for that, we have also a platform. We have actually a few platforms. One is a live chat facility where you can ask questions anytime, and about what we call online satsang, that is an online meeting where you can come. It is weekly, on a weekly basis, and it is in English and other languages. We have more than 50 online satsangs weekly in English and other languages. So everyone is welcome if you want to learn about spirituality and spiritual practice. And just to share that we mentioned also about research, and in conjunction with Maharishi Adhyatma Vishwavidyalaya, where we also conduct many research using biofeedback device. And we publish also research also on our SSRF website. So you can see some of the research as well, some of our live stream and video on our YouTube channel. So I invite you, of course, to look at this treasure of knowledge that we have on our website. So dear seeker, before we start our live stream, usually what we do for around 2 minutes or so, we will collectively either meditate or repeat a divine name in the mind, or a mantra if you are repeating. So we'll just play a divine name also at the same time. So you can just close your eyes. We will do that for 2 minutes, and then we will start with our live stream.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय 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 ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
So, dear seekers, we will be starting with our live stream. So, if some of you has just joined in our today live stream, it will be about question answers. So, you can ask any questions that you have about spirituality or spiritual practice, or any doubt you may have about spirituality or spiritual concept. So we have two moderators and we have seekers who are there to collect your questions on YouTube, Facebook, and also Twitter. So we'll collect all of them, and also we have some who will come to ask their questions live. So we'll just see also if we have already some questions. So not yet question has come, but I think we have someone who is probably, I would just ask the technical team if did she come, Vanya Jyoti? Okay. We had some testing before, but presently maybe she will join again. So don't hesitate any question, because sometimes we may wonder why it is like this, how come it is like this. We may wonder sometimes some spiritual knowledge or spiritual concept we may be always not finding difficult to accept or understand. That's why don't hesitate, feel free always. There is no, we can say, silly questions, because some people feel, oh, my question is not good, or maybe, but no, it's not like that. It is always better to ask, because in spirituality or spiritual practice, see, when we try to practice spirituality and we have questions unanswered in our mind, or we have some doubt about some concept, that actually does block us to be able to go ahead or to, in a way, practice spirituality with more, we can say, fervor or with more enthusiasm, because this doubt in our mind stop us to actually put into practice. We have some questions from Satish Chandna. A couple of months ago, it was possible to sit down chanting with concentration. This day, it has become difficult to stay focused. I still do chanting, but mostly it is mechanical. So actually, Satish Chandna, I don't know if some others were watching now, whether some of you are experiencing the same. And I'm sharing also from time to time in the collective meditations that presently negativity in the environment since actually beginning of the year has increased a lot, and also as we are witnessing what is happening around the world, there is an increase in conflict and problems, and that generally creates an increase of negative vibrations. So that's why it is much more difficult now to concentrate, to try to chant, to try to meditate. So that's why we suggest and recommend for those who can at home play the divine name in low tone in background, because it helps to purify the place where we are, and especially at night. So we recommend different self-filling remedy like salt water, Or we have also this technique called removing this negative covering around oneself. So we'll be sharing, for some of you, we can share the link in the chat, so you can always refer to those articles. So that's why, in a way, in today's time, trying to meditate is much more difficult. That's why repeating God's name in the mind is more easier, or it's easier. So that's why, because it can be done anywhere and anytime. So I don't know if, as per what I share, if some of you have some question in minds and pop up, don't hesitate also. And from Satish Chandan, just to say, no, I still do chanting mechanical. So initially it is okay. It is better to chant mechanical than not chanting at all. And you may experience that someday we may be able to chant with more concentrations. When there is new moon, full moon, then we may find very difficult actually to chant with concentration. We may not even feel any concentration. It may be a struggle. Just recently there was this eclipse and new moon. So I don't know if some of you may have experienced much more struggle the past few days. There is a questions, it's called question everything. So in a way, whether you are questioning everything, you, as the information that women generally have more personality defects than men, resulting out of spiritual research, or does this theme of a certain patriarchal view that's still attached to Hindu society? So actually, about women as compared to men, women are more emotional. So they have, it's not like they have more personality defect than men. Is by type, a woman is more emotional than men, and men actually has more ego or more pride. So actually, from the standpoint, ego or pride is a bigger obstacle in spiritual practice. So it is not from the point of Hindu society or patriarchal approach. Men and women actually, from defect point of view, are similar. Only women are more emotional by nature, and men has more pride and ego point of view. So I hope this answer your questions, questioning everything. From Sridhar Reddy, my age is 56. I'm suffering from health, financial issue, and disturbance in family. How to resolve issues? My daughter is suffering from OCD, so can you help to solve this problem? See, actually, Shida Reddy, what happened when some person from the same family experience different problem? So sometimes the cause could be from what we call departed ancestors. So as a time, we can suggest that you can repeat the divine name of Shri Gurudev Datta. So you can see whether also in your family they are open to repeat this divine name. This divine name is actually Dattatreya, who actually helps to give momentum to some extent and to the departed ancestor, and especially also create a protective shield around the seeker or the person who is repeating the divine name. Because often we say either the problem is psychological in nature or physical or spiritual. But one type of rule is when somebody from the same family or many people from the same family experience different problem, and the problem cannot be overcome at the physical or psychological level, then sometimes the cause of the problem or the root of the problem could be from the spiritual dimension. So of course, we always recommend to get advice from doctor at physical or psychological level, but it is, if we are able sometimes to combine along with spiritual healing remedies, and often we have many case study on our website. Along with OCD, we have few cases on our website. We were able to overcome their OCD, or the OCD has reduced to a good extent. And you have a question that you are asking about the courses, how to go ahead for the in rupees. You can always write this to our live chat, so one of our seeker can come to you and help you. There's another question from Satvik Krupa. Do we have destiny with specific place or destination? It can happen, see, actually, when what you say is, we may have, see, it depends, let's say, from destiny, we may have destiny to a particular country. That can happen, or to a place because of something from the past. So it can happen. Of course, we have most of the time destiny with someone, with a person, but it can be that we may be attracted to a specific country, or we may have some give and take account to that society. Maybe just to ask if we can remove the first question that has been answered, it will help me. There is another question from Vishnu Vakani. With chanting, can we awaken Kundalini energy? So just Vishnu, about chanting or repeating God's name. It's actually there is a path, what we call the path of chanting or the path of repeating God's name. And yes, it can happen that through this practice, Kundalini, because see, what happens is in regards to the Kundalini awakening, we had some live stream about it, that we recommend not to force to try to activate or awaken the Kundalini, because it can have some bad effect. But actually, if we practice spirituality or spiritual practice, then the Kundalini can get awakened, or it will automatically rise, because the positivity generated from the spiritual practice will start slowly growing from the low chakra, and slowly it will start activate the Kundalini. But when it comes to chanting, so chanting is one path, or we can say one step of spiritual practice. So only through chanting, it can take many years for a person to experience spiritual progress just by doing chanting, unless chanting is done with devotions or with spiritual emotion, then the progress may be very slow. So that's why we recommend, or we suggest also in SSRF, there are many more steps that we can do of spiritual practice. Just as one is chanting, one is satsang, attending online meeting to be in the companies of truth or sat, or one is also seva, service to God, working on overcoming defect within oneself, or working to overcome ego within oneself. So that is, if we try to work on those, or to practice on those different aspects, then the chance for spiritual progress is much faster. There is another question from any infotainment. Okay. Recently, I saw that the SSRF article about ghosts, are they really happening, and how is it possible to sense them? How to know if I am affected by them, and why they don't want to grow spiritually? So there are a few questions that you are asking. So it's about sensing them. So actually, until and unless one has some what we call sixth sense, subtle perceptions, they're able to understand or to perceive the vibrations. So of course, negative energies, they are in a way in the atmosphere, and they affect people also, they affect person. So that is something that to understand from more from vibration point of view. So only when the sixth person have a sixth sense. After, there are some how we can understand sometime more at the intellect level, if somebody may have or is affected by negative energy. So we have explained on our website. So it can be different aspect. Some people have different problems that they are not able to overcome despite going to doctors or despite going to psychiatrists, or sometimes intense depressions, or people are not able to sleep. Some people have different disorders than medical science is not able to solve, or some addictions, lot of type of addiction that can be caused actually by negative energy, or what we call departed ancestor or negative energy. So that's why we recommend to always consult and see whether the problem is, or overall, if the problem is physical or psychological, and along trying to do spiritual healing remedies, especially repeating God's name. And what has happened also, one way to understand is when we try to do spiritual practice, or let's say repeating God's name, at a time what can happen, the person may experience at a time some things happening. And for me, I would like to share my own experience. So actually, I'm from a Catholic background, and I used to smoke 1 pack of cigarette per day in a very short time. And at that time, I could experience something was strange with me. I would get some different negative thoughts or some strange thoughts, or I would experience something I could not, something different, but I could not understand. I could feel that something is different, but not clear to me. And when I came in contact with SSRF at that time, they explained to me the concept of departed ancestors. And as I'm from a Catholic background, at that time I could not even understand this concept. But from inside, I had some desire just to try to repeat the divine name. And just by repeating the divine name, I could experience a lot of flow of positivity, and I could experience negativity also. And just within 3 days, I'd stopped smoking. So just as I saying, this gives me a conviction that there is something from the spiritual dimension that is not explained in, we can say, modern science or in our books. So actually, when we practice or we try, we may experience something different, and that is always a good sign. For some, when they start repeating a divine name, they experience splitting headache. For some, they are just find a lot of discomfort. And just to understand that actually, when I say a good sign, is because the positivity generated by the divine name actually start affecting the negativity or the distress affecting us. It's a question after of time that actually the negativity become less and can have less clutch on us. So that's why what we have seen, many find difficulty or experience problem, because in today's time, many people are affected by negative energy, whether they are aware or not, because as I shared in beginning, the negativity today in the environment is much more. But the common mistake is when somebody start repeating God's name, at that time they experience discomfort and then they stop, because they feel that by practicing spirituality I should feel good. But to understand that spiritual practice is to overcome the darkness within us. So it can, initially we may find discomfort, then later we may experience bliss from the spiritual practice. There is another question from BR. You can say, I'm Bharti. Me and my sister are going through a lot of legal issues. We are facing a lot of dishonest and cheater people. Our own lawyers have cheated us. Any cure for this problem? Bharti, just to share what we are experiencing in this life. So whether we're experiencing happiness or whether we are experiencing unhappiness. So mainly it is due to the destiny that we have, or what we call karma or prarabdha. But what we can do is spiritual practice itself helps either to reduce the negative destinies that we may have, or it helps to also withstand. So actually we are less affected because sometimes there is destiny that cannot be changed. But if we practice spirituality, that God give us also a comfort, God help us, so we are able to go through it, through the destiny. Many seekers who practice spirituality have experienced also that either some problem fade away, or some the problem went away completely, and for some they were able to go through it with more ease. So that's why we suggest, Bharti, you can try repeating God's name. You can repeat the, I don't know if you are from India, so you may be chanting either Kula Devi as per your uh, family deity, or otherwise, if you don't have, you can repeat also the universal name of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can also, if you can repeat also the protective chant of Shri Gurudev Datta. Sometimes we hope, Bharti, we hope for a easier solution or a better solution, but to understand that in spirituality it is not like that. There is no quick fix or easy solution. Ultimately, we have to practice spirituality. And some people say, if we come across some people who say, you give me 10,000 rupee, $100, and I overcome your destiny. Just to understand that is untrue, that is not possible only. There's a question from Marco. Can destiny prevent spiritual progress? And how to accept ups and downs in spiritual practice? So actually there are two answers to your questions, Marco. Can destiny prevent spiritual progress? So it can be, if a person has more destiny, it can actually hamper the progress of the person. But if the person has intense desire for spiritual progress, then even the biggest or the most severe destiny cannot stop a person to progress spiritually. So we have even some case of seekers who had severe destiny, but because they had intense desire to progress spiritually, they were able to grow to a higher level and completely overcome their destiny and problems and make progress. And on contrary, we have some who had a more easy life, but the desire to change is sometimes the person remain entangled or face their own destiny. So ultimately, desire is 80% importance in spiritual progress. And to accept ups and downs. So just see, when we practice spirituality, and then we work also on ourselves, then it helps us to accept. We can always take also this, what we call an auto-suggestion technique, to accept as situation as they are, but ultimately practicing spirituality or chanting God's name help us to remain more stable. From Sarika Deepak, actually it is a similar type of question. Can our personality defect reduce our spiritual growth? It is because actually personality defect or ego is two main obstacles in a spiritual progress of a seeker, of a person. So that's why it is important to work on them, to reduce them, because if we have anger, how can we grow spiritually? Or if I have judgment, if I have insecurity, then also it will stop me to progress spiritually. From Ninjin, this is another question. Is 100% what happening destiny? It is not like that, Ninjin. So in this time that we live in, that is what we call Kali Yuga, it's an era where we can see there is an era of strife, where it is more difficult. So in today's time, more than 65% of our life is destiny. So that means that we have also more than 25 or so, or 20% of willful actions. Why I'm saying, because when you say where is the other 10, 15%, because actually it is in this collective destiny that we are in present time. So we are going through a phase where there is a collective destiny that we have to face. So actually our free will is less, but it is there. We still have 20 to 25% of free will that we can change something. And on the same line, even if someone has less free will, but intense desire to change, then it can overcome this 80 or even 90% of destiny. So it's always go back to the same point, whether we want to just be happy and enjoy life, or if we want to grow spiritually, then desire is much more important. So there is again a question from Question Everything. Is Halloween a celebration of negative forces, or it is just a fun way to lighten the concept of death and darkness for the people that are afraid of it? So from your questions, actually it came from old times, where it was actually to celebrate the death and darkness. But just to understand that there is a principle in spirituality that name, form, and touch and energy coexist. So if somebody dress up, let's say, as a ghost, then they will automatically attract those negative vibrations towards themselves. So to understand whether initially this celebration was done from concept or from a ritual or from, as you say, like a celebration from old times. But in today's time, in a way, what we do, whether we attract positivity or we attract negativity. So from that concept, Halloween actually attract negative vibration in the atmosphere on Earth more. So that if, on the contrary, we try to do a celebration that is more spiritually pure, then we will attract positivity. So to remember this principle that name, form, energy, and touch and forms coexist. So the way what we eat, the way we dress, what we choose is a way of life. So we have a section also on our website. It is how we do, or how automatically this either we attract positivity or we attract negativity. There's another question from Any Infotainment. How to make World War III get postponed further and it should never happen? So, as you say, as we can see now, in presently more and more on the news, we can see it's becoming more difficult, and even there are threat of using nuclear, we can say, weapons, or even the UN nations, they mention that we are just one misunderstanding of a nuclear or the worldwide conflict. So we are not far from that, and hopefully everyone wish that we should be able, or it should not happen. So of course, practicing spirituality is the way to increase positivity in oneself and in the atmosphere. So if more people practice spirituality, it will help to reduce the negativity in the atmosphere, also the chance. But in a way, more important, or what we recommend in SSRF is we have mentioned also predictions on our website for more than 16 years, actually, that this prediction has been published since 2006. So actually it's 15 years, apology, that it is published on our website about a possibility of World War III. And we can see from now today, it's close to a reality. And at SSRF, we are not trying to scare people about a possibility war conflict, but it is more that we can practice spirituality. We can try to change ourselves for the better and try to grow spiritually. And of course, we wish that it should never happen. I just wanted to go and see whether we have anyone in the waiting room. Not for the moment. I think there is another questions from everything you said. Is Pritupaksha, so it is a time of the departed ancestor, influence the Celtic celebration of Samhain, the original Halloween, or different people around the world? Just realize that at this time of the year we should commemorate the dead. So it is actually the same. If there is one law or one principle, at that time, what we call in Pritupaksha, the departed ancestor come closer to us. They come closer to us. So they are, of course, commemorated in different religions, in different ways. But just the principle is the same. They come closer to us, so they are worshipped. And if we see in Japan, they worship in a very different way. Or in India, they do some different form. So every cultures, as per their knowledge of background, commemorate the dead. But what is actually from spiritual point of view, from spiritual vibrations? See, when we say from spiritual point of view, we always speak from the spiritual standpoint, from spiritual vibrations. So just to explain, let's say in Japan, what they do, they eat lunch or meals on the tomb of the person who are dead. So just to understand from spiritual standpoint that cemetery, we have done research using biofeedback device. So that time cemetery have a lot of negative vibration, because in regards to death, there are negative vibration associated. So those places are more filled with negativities and positivity. So that's why whether the person commemorates the dead in a way or certain way, just to understand from spiritual impact or spiritual vibration, then the person will be either impacted more attract more negativity towards oneself. And what is the goal as a human being is to grow spiritually, is to remove the Rajatama within oneself and imbibe the divinity, or we can say the positivity, and able to grow spiritually, because we are all comprised of what we call Sattva, Raja, and Tama. And then if we can paste the link in the chat, it's in a way the creations of the universe of three vibrations, and the Sattva, that is the most positive vibrations. Raja is more energy of action that we all need, and Tama is energy of ignorance and inertia. So that's why we are combined in today's time, because our spiritual capacity or level is less. So we are more combined of Rajatama, and the Sattva within oneself is less. As compared to long time ago, a million years ago, when human beings were very evolved spiritually, and they were only spiritually pure, and the Rajatama or inertia and ignorance was very less. So spiritual practice or spirituality is what? Is actually whatever action we do, whether it is a ritual, whether it is the way we live, what we eat, is to imbibe positivity and overcome negativity. There is a question from Satish Shandan. Knowing some people are not my well-wishers and always try to harm me, how can I develop Priti for everyone as part of my spiritual practice? I tend to discriminate between friend and enemy naturally. So Satish Chandra says, ultimately Priti is what? Priti is love for everyone without any expectation. So that is actually the ultimate, we can say, in regards to thinking about others, and there is love for others, and after there is love without any expectations. So first what we can do is we should try to be able to develop love for others we should overcome different defects within oneself that stop us to actually be able to develop this quality. So if let's say I have anger or I have judgment, then how I can have or tolerance? If I am intolerant, then how can I have develop love for others? So first we should try to work on those defects within oneself, and then we are able to imbibe the quality, divine quality of thinking about others and loving others. So after that, we automatically discriminate less whether someone is nice to me or less nice to me. We're able to remain less affected by the situation. Definitely, someone who is not nice now will not be able to feel love to them, like only sense of a very high orders are in such high levels that they love everyone equally. There's also questions from Sora Bodas. Is getting attracted towards alcohol and non-veg caused by negative energy? So just to share about alcohol and non-veg, it depends on the culture. So let's say in the West, it is a common practice to consume alcohol or to eat non-veg, to eat meat. But just to understand the same principle that I shared before, is when we consume meat, at that time is the same thing. We attract within oneself these negative vibrations. Or if we consume alcohol, we also attract those negativity within oneself. So, so in a way, it increases the chance for us to be able to get affected by negativity. And sometimes, yes, negativity affecting a person want to fulfill either their own desire and own cravings. So they may give a thought for the other person to eat meat or drink alcohol. And sometimes, especially addictions, so meat could be understood because if the person has grown up in a West and has a habit to eat, it may not be affected by negative energy, but just be an habit of the life or the culture. But when it comes to alcohol or addictions, here what we have seen is we have some case study of some seekers that they were able to overcome addictions just by repeating the divine name of Shri Gurudev Datta. So it shows that sometimes the person or can be or the ancestors fulfill their own desire through the descendant. So whether it can be different type of alcohol. Suppose the person drink a glass of alcohol just like that for being with others, but those who are suffering from addictions sometimes can be the root because actually the ancestor is fulfilling their desire or own craving. So there is another question from Nejin. What I will gain if I repeat Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya? So just to share on those in regards to repeating God's name, so the same principle is name, form, and energy coexist. So when we repeat a divine name, we attract this divine principle or divine energy within us. And many have experienced that when they repeat a divine name, or also the Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, they experience more calmness in mind. Some experience a protective shield. You see, it will depend on the person. If the person is not affected by negative energy, or the mind is with less thoughts, so it will be easier for them. It will be easier for them to feel calmness. But if someone has a lot of stress, or they are affected by negative energy, so at that time they may find struggle to repeat the divine name. They may not be able to repeat also. So ultimately, that's why we recommend to try to persist for some time if when there is a reactions by repeating a divine name. At that time, after that, we may be able to feel the negativity will become less around oneself. But the main is whether we are affected by negative energy or we are not affected. By repeating a divine name, we imbibe the divine name of God within oneself, and that reduce to some degree our destiny. It reduces the negativity within oneself, and as well create a protective shield around oneself. There is another question from Shumon Billie Jean. Do you expect the nuclear weapon to be launched before end of November? The astrologer shows something is soon to happen. So just to share about what astrologers say, and actually if you go to YouTube today, you will see different astrologers predicting different things. But at SSRF, we have mentioned some possible predictions that will happen. When it will happen, we don't know. And as I shared before, we hope that it may not happen. But there is, as we can say, even today, the atomic center who says the doomsday clock. I don't know if some of you have heard this. Actually, 1 minute from midnight. And actually, we had close to 30 seconds from midnight. So even in today's time, the atomic community mentions that we are very close to a conflict. And we can see, so there is a probability when it will happen, we don't know. We hope it may not happen, but just to say that we are facing other challenges in presently due to the conflict that is taking place. We can see the economy is getting affected worldwide. The stability of the country is getting affected worldwide. There is inflation increasing worldwide. So this is going to definitely have some impact in everyone. So that's why we suggest to try to practice spirituality to be able to remain stable. So we are not mentioning, and we don't know also when if this will happen, but more what is present or what everyone is able to see what is happening today of this instability worldwide. There's another question from Priyanka. I don't have any confidence. I cry always. And you say I have low confidence. So Priyanka, just to say here about overcome, we have some live stream that you can visit on our YouTube channel is how to develop confidence or how to overcome insecurity. So that's why this aspect of working on overcoming defect within oneself. So it can be for some it is anger, for some it is insecurity, for some it is inferiority. So the method is the same for everyone. So what we recommend, you can try to come to our, we have actually to have a workshop online that will start this Sunday. It is through donation, so everyone is welcome. It is a 2 hours durations. And mainly we share, you can also read the article on our website where we share the method of how you can introspect within oneself. What are the situations that make you to have low confidence, or whether some triggers from the past that makes you to have low confidence. And there is some simple technique called autosuggestion. It is not an affirmation. It is repeating a positive sentence to overcome the negative impressions that we have. But ultimately, we have to do it ourselves. And many seekers worldwide who have worked on this process, and many also have overcome insecurity and have developed confidence. And in reality, the true confidence, it is God within oneself. That is a true confidence. And when we practice spirituality, we are able to experience that God actually is in everyone, and we experience God also within oneself. So ultimately, we feel bliss from that, and we feel less fearful. We have more faith that God is everywhere. So there is a question from everything. You say Carl Jung advised that one try to integrate negative aspect of the personality into the self and shed love and light on our own darkness. Is it possible to help darkness to be transformed into light? I have heard that the soul that doesn't get out of the life and death cycle will get prepared for reincarnation by another group of spirit in the life between lives. Is there any research on that? So actually, see, there is sunlight, sunset. So when there is darkness, there is no darkness and light together. So either there is darkness, but when sunlight comes, now the darkness fade away. So ultimately, in spirituality, it is to awaken the God principle within oneself, or to experience the God within us. We have mind, body, intellect, but that overshadow the soul within ourselves. So we are so much entangled into the materialism. We are so much entangled in our own intellect and self that we are not able to perceive this God principle within oneself. But when we practice spirituality, then slowly, slowly, the attachments to the five senses, mind and intellect, become less. And then we are able to perceive the vibrations of the soul within oneself. And that is by itself spiritual progress. So actually in spirituality is how to overcome negativity within oneself, darkness within oneself, and to be able to experience God principle. It cannot be light and darkness together. There is a question from Ravikant's logs. You say, sir, can we take alcohol little? That is your own wish only. You can decide. See, ultimately in spirituality, we know principle. We know, see, let's say I have physical body. I know that if I take this, I will feel good. I know if I take this, I will feel sick. So it is up to us, no? We have our free will, we decide. We know many things that are incorrect, we should not do, but we do it because we like it. So even doctor tell, no, don't do this, but we still do it. So you can decide what you want to do. We are not in SSRF is not to tell others, do this, don't do this, do this. It's not our, for us is to explain from spiritual standpoint, spiritual vibrations, what we do, whether it helps us or affects us. So this is the principles. And if we want to practice spirituality, we practice spirituality. If we practice spirituality, then we can experience happiness. Somebody is writing, it is, I think, Vatya, you said you have migraine headache problem, how to solve that problem. And you have problem experiencing some covering around self. And you are suffering from many health issues. So when it comes to problem like migraines or headache or some many health problems, so we always recommend not to visit some doctors in that field and see whether there is any physical problem, or it can be, and if there is not, if there is any physical, whether from psychological point of view, there's a lot of stress and can create also health problem. But if this can be also overall, then we can see whether the problem is from the spiritual dimension. That's why we recommend to repeat the divine name of God, also to do salt water remedy. We can paste in the chat also. Or there is a nyas actually, when some experience headache or migraines. There is a mudra, is bringing the 5 fingers together. It's called from the science of mudras and Panchatattva, the 5 element. So at that time, the person can bring, because we have 7 chakras, no? So what happens? They can compress the negative vibration. It's not negativity, but it can be negative vibration can be stored in different chakras within us or in the void and can give pressure. So some people experience sometimes migraines despite taking tablets or medicines, they can't overcome it. And sometimes some just by doing this nyas at the different chakras or the pain where they experience pain, it can reduce or it can fade away. Or some experience strong migraine during new moon and full moon. So that can be sometimes a sign also that negativity can aggravate the problem. It can be also sometimes that the person may have some physical background prone to migraines, but then negativity take advantage and magnifies the problem. So that's why we always recommend to visit doctor in that source field and see if something can be done at physical level and psychological level. But chanting God's name and nyas is not harmful. It cannot be harmful. Okay, Jessica, I think we have answered most of your questions. I think all the questions has been answered. Just to share about, we have these courses that is coming this Sunday, that is on 30 October from 6 to 8 p.m. It is of 2 hours durations, and it will be about change yourself for the better. It is how to understand within oneself what can be our internal stresses. And of course, for everyone, depending on your personality, will be different. But how to work on it at a practical level, this is what we will share with you during this workshop. Actually, we give you time also to understand. You can do your own introspection, and then we help you also how you can work. You can work on it on a practical level with a solution. So it will be 3 workshops of 3 series. It is on the first is on 30 October, 6 November, and 13 November at the same time. And you can register to 1 workshop or 2 workshops. You can see, you can come to the first workshop, and if you feel that it helps you or you feel you gain something from this workshop, you can always register to the second workshop. All our live stream, like today, or the collective chanting that we are doing 3 times a week, are free of charge, except for the online courses are actually through donation. So even whatever is as per your capacity. So dear seeker, I hope you learned something. We have also tonight, there will be also the same session. It will be conducted by Her Holiness Bhavna Shinde, and that will be at 9 p.m. EDT, as per US time. So dear seeker, tomorrow, today is Wednesday, tomorrow, Thursday, we also have the collective meditation from 6 to 7, so everyone is welcome also. If you have remaining questions, you can always also ask tonight, or otherwise you can ask on our live chat facility. So dear seeker, wishing you a blissful day or evening, and maybe see you tomorrow. Namaskar.